Now, this year marks the 50th anniversary of the introduction of the contraceptive pill here in Britain. Writing in the Mail this week, journalist Jenny Murray's revealed how, for her, the pill marked the start of her own sexual, personal revolution. And as an 18-year-old girl in her first term of university, she said she'd previously shunned sex because she was perceived as a nice girl. But apparently the advent of the pill brought about in her a personal freedom, as well, of course, as raising a moral dilemma. But in our own experience, did the pill unlock our sexual liberation?
Yeah, I'm in the same era, obviously, and I remember when deciding to go on the pill, and it very much meant a lot to me because I was adopted and I was an unwanted baby, and I'd always determined that whatever I did with my life, I would never affect anybody else. I would never include anybody else in my mistakes, and, you know, being pregnant would be one of those things. And I took a great thing to and I went on the pill, and I told my mum and dad, and Mum, she apologised afterwards, but I was the eldest, and it was the first daughter, you know, they'd been through. She wrote me this letter saying they were really disappointed with me, and, you know, what was I doing? And I was devastated because I thought I was being sensible. But what was wonderful about the pill, what was liberating to me, is that if I'd had to go out preempting the fact that I might pull, the nice girl in me still thought that mustn't be right. So I wouldn't have carried condoms or anything like that. So, but the pill meant that you were ready at all times. and it was part of the romance, you know, that you met somebody and you could, in this great
you didn't
aura,
have that embarrassment.
yes, of lust, you could pretend it was romance, and away you went.
Well, you're right. I mean, I didn't need the pill till I was 16. No, not because I wasn't having sex, and I was quite, you know,
promiscuous,
sexually liberated way before I was 16, but I was a late developer, so I just didn't need the pill, so I went and got it on my 16th birthday.
So oh, you mean physically? Obviously.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
physically,
obviously there is the issue that you were behaving illegally at that time.
Oh, it was. Yes, it was totally illegal. I lost my virginity at 14. It's no secret. I've told everybody. Everybody knows. But when it came about, it was great. I mean, because the only thing that concerned me at those times was getting pregnant. There's no way I could have got pregnant. I would never have wanted to. It was quite a rare thing, actually, in the early 70s. But the thing about it was the worst thing. You didn't really need condoms then, because the worst thing you could get was a mild venereal disease. Do you know what I mean? You couldn't die from sex then. AIDS didn't come about until the 80s. So, you know, in my most promiscuous years, in my teens, it was great. You could just do it with anybody you liked. Well, at the time. You know, I'm not like that now, I have to say.
Well, but nobody can afford to be in this day and age. I mean, I am of the condom generation. I'm an 80s kid. You know, I was raised... Well, sorry. But I remember being at school when I was kind of, you know, just flirting with the idea of a kiss and a smooch with somebody at the school disco. And those, do you remember those ads with the tombstones on?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, you know, that was my introduction to sexual adventure. I was like, great.
Yeah.
Sounds like a blast. But, you know, for me, I went on the pill when I was 16 because I was in a long-term relationship. I discussed it with my mum and dad.
Did you?
Yeah, well, you know, I'd used condoms beforehand because it was the right thing to do. And we were really pragmatic about it and sensible. I didn't want to be pregnant. So I took it purely to stop me getting pregnant, but obviously to protect yourself from diseases. Until you know that you're sleeping with a safe partner, you've got to put your socks on.
I went on...
Oh, is it a sock, is it? Oh.
Well...
That's where I've gone wrong.
Depends on the partner you're dealing with, Linda.
Could be a booty.
A lucky start.
I was 16 when I went on the pill, but I mean, I didn't discuss it with my parents or anything because I was brought up that I was in a long-term relationship, and I didn't discuss it with my parents because I was brought up that nice girls don't, you know. And even when I was on the pill and I knew I was being sensible, I still always had that guilt of I'm not a nice girl anymore.
Yeah, but you're in a relationship. It's not like you're putting it
no,
back
absolutely.
on a Saturday night.
I only had it for about an hour. I got over that feeling.
When you're 16, the doctor wasn't allowed to tell your parents. That's
right.
why.
Yeah.
Well, I was lucky.
I mean, I was lucky in that respect as well. But it's funny being a parent now, because now if my boys are going out, it's the first thing I check in their wallets, have they got condoms with them?
Yes, but you know, yes, I think they're really good at that, though, aren't they?
They're great kids nowadays.
But you know, a lot of girls now don't have the pill. They don't even use condoms, and they actually use the morning after pill, and really terribly and sadly, abortion as a kind of contraception.
Exactly. And then it causes them to not be able to have babies at all.
There's a name for those kind of girls. Stupid.